back. One more shot for today.
You can scream and shout with all your might.
I have things to do. Randy has things to do.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
So we're going to do one more stating the obvious and then get at it.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
Don't forget the ever-present third possibility. You are wrong and I am right. But again, for the third time today, tell me, isn't it amazing how predictable these people are? The crowd just cheers every time, right in the same place. Have you noticed that? It's amazing. I want to pick up very briefly where I left off in the previous edition of Stating the Obvious. By the way, I am Skippy. In the control room is the lovely, the adorable, the Republican. But we don't hold that against her too often. Randy. This is Stating the Obvious, brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society. 204eSouth.com/CLS. It is the 9th of October, 2005. Outside, the weather is shitty here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And just checking the weather, it's supposed to snow tonight. 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. Oh, joy. I can hardly contain myself. However, Anna will be very happy. She's a little snow bunny. So she's going to be thrilled with the snow. I am drinking some... What was this, tea? No beer this time. It is citrus relaxation or something. So I should be nice and relaxed. I'm drinking hot tea. Relaxation. Let me pick up briefly where I left off on the previous edition of Stating the Obvious. As I was talking about rape, women having to take responsibility, but that doesn't mean they are being blamed. Let's draw a parallel here between the left and the right. Because we see both of these groups of people utilize the same tactics. It's telling, and it's pathetic, and it's hilarious to watch them accusing the other of doing what they do. But let's look at this in application. The left says that a woman wearing skimpy clothes walks into a frat house filled with 20 drunk frat boys, and she gets raped. That she should not be blamed for this, and that she is not responsible for this. Now, I agree, she can't be blamed for this, but responsibility is a different concept. She took a certain set of actions which placed her in a scenario where it was more likely that she would be raped. Now, had she had some intelligence, she could have avoided these conditions and not been raped. Now, of course, a lot of you out there right now are calling me a sexist pig and all this other stuff, which is what you do because I'm right and you're wrong and you don't actually have an intellectual argument to counter what I'm saying, and that's fine, and you can fuck off and die. Now, let's take a look at so, thinking of the parallel here, how I want to take this out. The thing the left is asking us to believe here is that all women are completely without any responsibility for their condition. They have no control over what happens to them. That when a woman gets raped, it is purely at the whim of some man or group of men who woke up that morning and said, well, I'm going to go out and rape a woman, and she just happened to be here. Now let's take a look at the parallel from the right. The right is telling us that 9/11 was not our fault, that we can't be blamed for it, and that we are in no way responsible for that. Just as the left doesn't see a woman putting herself in a room with 20 drunk frat boys as anything that has anything to do with her, The right doesn't see 40 years of fucking with the politics in the Middle East as in any way having anything to do with why the people in the Middle East hate America. Has nothing to do with why those terrorists flew those airplanes into those buildings. The left is asking us to believe that the left is asking us to believe that a man just wakes up. Well, sometimes this happens. There are psychos out there. The left is asking us to believe, in our hypothetical case, which is actually not a hypothetical case, this did happen. I don't know if it was 20 frat boys or 10 or whatever, but I do recall a few years ago some woman, college girl, went into a frat house with a bunch of drunk guys and got raped. That's why I'm using this as an example, because it actually happened. In this case, the left is asking us to believe that these drunk frat boys just took it upon themselves to rape her, and that even if she had nothing to do with this, the right is asking us to believe that these terrorists just woke up one morning and said, hey, we hate freedom, we hate America, let's go fly an airplane. But that what we did leading up to that has nothing to do with it. The fact that this woman went into this frat house had nothing to do with her getting raped. The fact that we spent 40 years fucking with Arabic politics, putting our puppet dictators in there, supporting Israel, also has nothing to do with those people hating us. It amazes me how the left and the right think so much alike, and I don't understand why they don't get along better. Because both of them... No, it's in the pile coming up. I was thinking ahead of myself there. Both of them think exactly alike. If you talk to anybody who has made great changes in their life, anybody who's gotten anywhere, any of the evil rich people that you hate, any of these other, you'll find one thing they all have in common is that they have taken responsibility for what has happened to them. If you read any of these goofy self-help books, some of which I think are pretty good. I call them goofy self-help books. I mean, a lot of them are garbage. Not that I haven't read all of them out there. I read some. Some of them are garbage. Some of them are pretty good. But one thing most all of them have in common is they'll tell you, before you're going to make changes in your life, the first thing you have to do is take responsibility for what happens to you. And yet the message we get from the right when it comes to terrorism is that, we are not responsible. The message we get from the left when it comes to sexual assault or rape or domestic violence or anything else, the woman is in no way responsible. As long, and I think this is why the left continues to tell women that they are not responsible for what happens to them. Because as long as women believe they are not responsible for anything that happens to them, as long as they believe they have no control over what happens to them, as long as they believe that everything that happens to them is totally at the whim of evil men, the left will always be able to use women as a weapon against men. The left will always be able to manipulate women. The left will always be able to keep women weak and gullible and easy to influence. And in my mind, that is the real goal of all these organizations like Take Back the Night and all this other shit. This is why I spent, 30 minutes or something, more than 30 minutes trashing these people. This is why these people piss me off so much. Tea. I'm feeling so relaxed. Alright, let's move on. This is just another indication of what's wrong with our country. The Denver Three, for those of you who don't know what the Denver Three is, the Denver Three are three people who went to a political town hall meeting thingy where George Bush was going to be speaking, and because they were rabid, fanatical Democrats, they got thrown out. They are now under the impression that because they were thrown out, they are now how should I say this? They are now politically knowledgeable. They are now looked at by the media as a go-to group for political, social, economic opinions. There's a letter by them in this issue of the Bullhorn, which I'm not going to read because I don't even know what it's about because it doesn't matter. The point is, this is the point. This brings me back to something I've talked about here and there and we'll be talking about more, is the concept of America, the United States, as a nation where being a complete fucking loser makes you an authority. I've already talked about this in the context of what's the little Samantha Spady. You know, her parents are running around educating people about the dangers of drinking too much alcohol. And as I have pointed out, if Spady's parents could adequately educate people about the dangers of drinking too much alcohol, their daughter wouldn't be dead from drinking too much alcohol. These people, when it comes to educating others about drinking too much alcohol, are complete fucking failures. And yet, in our society, being a complete fucking failure apparently makes you an expert. The Denver Three, they were complete fucking failures at getting into the political town meeting where George W. was going to talk. All they managed, they got thrown, and now, because they're a complete failure to get in there and confront George W., they are now political experts. Again, we live in a country where all you have to do is fail miserably, and you are considered an expert. And we wonder why things are so fucked up. What is this? Truth and Consequence. We had, as I'm sure most of you know, there was a while back the little scandal with the Army recruiters attempting to get the young man into the Army, even though he didn't have a college, even though he didn't have a high school diploma or a GED, claimed he was a drug addict, right? Isn't that what he said? And of course, as a former member of the military, I find this to be disgraceful. I find this to be sad. I'm talking about the behavior of the recruiters. I mean, this is absolutely fucking pathetic on the part of the recruiters. Do I think the military establishment condone this behavior? I don't think the establishment all the way up to the top was condoning this. The things I have seen, read, heard are that the recruiters' superiors were not in on this. I find that somewhat hard to believe, having been in the military. So how far up this problem went in the chain of command is questionable, but I'm pretty certain it went past the individual recruiters. And I'm pretty sure it's probably more widespread than we realize, because contrary to what they say, they do have quotas. And if you don't meet your quota, you do get in trouble. Especially nowadays when you might get sent back to Iraq where you get shot at. We have a couple of quick blurbs here though on this that I want to talk about. This is from a op-ed piece by somebody named Cheryl Distaso. D-I-S-T-A-S-O. Distaso. She serves on the Youth and Militarism Steering Committee for what? Youth and Militarism Steering Committee for what? Youth and Military, a project of Center for Justice, Peace, and Environment. Oh my God. Alright, that sounds incredibly left-wing wacko. She writes, but given the level of commitment required of those who join the military, our schools should make a special effort to ensure that students are given full disclosure of the possible consequences of the decision to join the military. The military is an organization in which you obey orders, you take a gun, and you try to kill other people before they kill you, and you're not always successful, and a lot of people die. Are there people out there who have survived 12 years of public education who seriously don't understand the concept of what the military is and what the consequences of going to war are? Because that's what she's saying. She's saying that you can get 12 years of public education and still not understand that if you join the military, you might get shot at and die. And if this is true, is this not yet another example of the incredibly good job that the government is doing of educating the people. 12 years of public education. God knows how many war movies these kids have watched, all the violence they've seen on television, and you're telling me that we need to explicitly sit down and explain to them, hey, if you join the military, you might get shot and die. Are the people who are the future of the United States really that stupid? I think some of them are, and I think it's sad. Cheryl writes further on, recruiters tell students if they join the military they will receive $50,000 in college funding, but neglect to tell them that 2/3 of all recruits never get any college funding from the military, and only 15% graduate with a 4-year degree. Now that has nothing to do with the military. If you go in and if you put your money into the college fund, you get your money out of the college fund. This is one of the things that there's a total disconnect here. You go to college after the military. If only 15% of the people who went in the military then got out of the military and went to college, if only 15% of those people graduate with a 4-year degree, what the hell does that have to do with the military? You don't do that while you're in the military. You do that with the college money, which is there for anyone who puts the money into the college fund. You do that after you get out. Now, and again, of course, she doesn't bother to provide a source for these statistics because nobody ever provides a source for their statistics because all these statistics are lies. That's why on this show, Stating the Obvious, you very seldom hear me ever use a statistic because if I can't back it up, I shut the fuck up, which is why I am always right. Because if I don't know what I'm talking about, I shut the fuck up. It's a shame Cheryl can't do that. Okay, what she has nothing to do. What is she talking about? I don't know. Her mouth is moving, but there's nothing coming out. What is this? Planned transit. Do I need to read this? Let me skim over this real quick. Here's some whining about there's a bunch of automobiles. Now, oh, how wonderful it would be if you just hopped on your bus. If you hop on your economically and environmentally efficient transport bus and cruise effortlessly. I can't read. I guess I'm too relaxed from the hot tea. Cruise effortlessly through the uncongested streets to the bus stop located conveniently near your home. This is an op-ed piece where this young lady, well, I assume she's young and I assume she's a lady, is waxing and waning eloquently in favor of public transportation because it's going to make everything so much more wonderful. Speaking as, first of all, when people say that we should have public transportation, what they usually mean is public transportation for others. This is another of those examples. How many times have I said it? I'm going to say it again. Some of you can go ahead and just tune me out because you've heard this. If every motherfucker who claimed to care about homeless people took a homeless person into their home, there'd be no fucking homeless people. Okay? If every motherfucker who thinks that we should all use public transportation and ride the bus got rid of their car and rode the fucking bus, we'd have a lot less traffic congestion. But when people say we need public transportation to reduce traffic, what they mean is we need public transportation so that you people can use the public transportation and reduce the traffic on the roads to make it easier for me to drive around in my car. That's what they really mean. If all these people who believe in the bus system got on the fucking bus, it would be okay. Now, I can say this because I use the bus system here in Fort Collins, the transport system. And I can tell you it's not used very heavily. And I can tell you the bus stops are not conveniently located near anything. In fact, this is one of those classic examples. This takes us into a whole new realm that I'm not going to talk about now, about how college students are coddled and then they hit the real world and piss on themselves. But the transport bus system, which supposedly is here to serve the citizens of Fort Collins, is actually essentially a bus system for the CSU college students, because the bus routes pretty much revolve around CSU. I mean, the biggest... Well, let me think about this for just a second. Yeah, I think it is actually the biggest as far as the number of buses that actually stop there. There are three really big transit centers, transit exchanges, where you get one bus to another. And I'm trying to think which is the downtown or the CSU is the biggest one. But a large majority of the bus routes in this city run to and from and around CSU. There are parts of Fort Collins that a bus doesn't go any fucking place near. And then you go near CSU and there's 8 bus routes that go around CSU. There's not a single fucking bus route in this town that will take you to the southwest portion of this entire fucking town. There's not a single bus route that will take you to the southeast portion of this entire fucking town. But there are 8 bus... I think it's 8. I have a bus map right here. See, unlike journalists, I am about to do research. This is something that you cocksuckers at the Bullhorn could try sometimes. Watch as I am doing research. I am actually looking something up instead of just making things up that conform to what I want to believe because I'm a fucking dickhead. The number of bus routes that parallel or go to CSU campus are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, let's see. Hold it. I'm checking. I'm double counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the same one. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was almost right. 7 bus routes go to CSU campus. This is not a mass transit system for the people of Fort Collins. For those of you familiar with Fort Collins, there is no bus except for the... there's only one bus route that goes past Harmony Road. That is the one going to, Loveland. And the one, there's virtually nothing that goes anywhere east of LeMay, which, I mean, you're east of LeMay in Fort Collins, we're talking about 1/3 of the city. So there's an entire third of the city that has no support from the transit system. This is why the transit system is fucking worthless. And as long as the transit system is worthless, nobody's going to fucking use it. So all you little fucking long-haired, hippie, non-bathing freaks who want people to ride the bus, sell your car and get on the fucking bus. Alright, just shut up. What is this? Taxpayers. I love it when liberals whine about taxes. Here's a little man on the street. Person on the street interviews. This is actually, I think it's a woman. No, actually, for once, I wasn't being insulting. I said I think it's a woman because I had highlighted all over the picture and I couldn't really tell anymore. For once, I was not insulting somebody. You can write this on your calendar, huh, Randy? She's marking it on the calendar in there. This woman says, I'd be for not receiving my refund if it meant helping out social services. We need to fund what needs to be funded. There's no sense in getting a refund just so we can spend it. It would be better to use it for something that would benefit all Coloradoans. You can send your refund back. I mean, here's a news flash, bitch. What is this? Okay, this is whining. I might save that. What is this? Gay sheep? What? What? Oh! Those goddamn libertarians, I swear to God. How dare those people believe that in freedom and shit. That is sick. Alright, here we go. It's not very often I talk about things on this show all the time from the libertarian perspective, but it's not very often I actually get to talk about libertarians, since libertarians are so seldom in the news or mentioned anywhere, and since I have not lately been talking much about libertarian publications or anything else. Check this out. How now, gay sheep? This is also from the Bullhorn. Colorado Tabor doesn't need a timeout, but Colorado needs to take a break from paying people to scribble verses about orgasms and lesbian sheep. That's the message that libertarians pitched in late July after they assembled a website for the Online Poetry Project, a state-funded creative writing workshop for high school students through the Colorado Council of the Arts. Excuse me. In 2002 through 2003, the project spent $44,100 on grants for 8 teachers, 3 independent poets, and the University of Colorado's new Media Center. The website for the project included classes, assignments dealing with the war in Iraq, and offered students links to creative work, including an essay on the female orgasm and poems about strippers, self-mutilation, and lesbian sheep. We paid someone $3,100 to write about orgasms, John Collinger said to the Rocky Mountain News. I'll do it for free. This is further proof we don't have a budget crisis. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I concur. If we have $44,100, the government has $44,100 to pay people to write poetry, there is not a budget problem. But, of course, the rest of the article goes on to, of course, attack the libertarians for being a bunch of wackos. I'm not going to bother to read it because I don't give a shit. This one, I thought about saving this. Well, I will actually throw this in the abortion box, but we're going to talk about it now anyhow. Who is this idiot? This is Dr. Warren Hearn. He's standing up to Operation Save America. Warren Hearn is a operator of an abortion clinic. It's blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is an interview with him. Rocky Mountain Bullhorn asked the question, do you think Roe v. Wade is in trouble with the changes in the Supreme Court? Now, I should mention this was before Bush had these 2 chances to... way to drop that. This is before Bush had his chance to place 2 people on the Supreme Court. More tea. What's this guy? Warren Hearn. Warren responds, well, the American people have voted 9 out of the last 12 federal elections to overturn Roe v. Wade and make abortion illegal. So, of course, that's going to happen. Now, what the fuck is he talking about? I know what he's talking about, but let's try applying some critical fucking thought to this. So let's look at the mentality of a stupid person here. What he's saying is, because 9 out of the last 12 elections we've elected, like I have anything to do with you assholes, you fuckheads have elected Republican presidents the last 9 out of the 12 elections, presidentially speaking. What are the assumptions that he's making here in order to make a statement like that? First of all, he's making the assumption that all Republican presidents are against abortion and that all Democrat presidents are not. That's stereotyping because you're judging somebody by their political party. Of course, it's okay to stereotype when you're a fucking liberal. We're making the assumption that all the people who vote are voting because of abortion and nothing else. This is probably not true. Some people, of course, vote on the president they think is going to do what they want to do regarding abortion because some people are stupid. But some people realize the world is a little bit bigger than the concept of abortion. Of course, the big problem here is that as a liberal, as a Roe versus Wade, or as all this other shit, all of their hope for keeping abortion legal rides on Roe versus Wade, and it all rides on Roe versus Wade because they've allowed abortion to be moved into the domain of the federal government. This is one of those times where you have to explain, I have to explain because you're all stupid and need it explained to you, that federalism works. If all 50 states were able to make their own independent decision about is abortion legal or is abortion illegal, and to what degree it is legal or illegal, you wouldn't have this problem. As it is now, all we have to do is get a couple of jackasses on the Supreme Court to say abortion is now legal. Abortion is now illegal, and it is. essentially the liberals, by throwing all of their eggs into the Roe versus Wade basket, have put all their eggs into one basket. And when this basket gets taken away from them, they got nothing. If instead they had worked to keep abortion decisions on a state level, while there might be some states where abortion would be made illegal, there would most certainly, without the slightest shadow of a doubt, be states where abortion is still legalized. And this simply illustrates how incredibly stupid Democrats are. If you're smart, you hedge your bets, you spread it out. You know, it's like if you're investing in stocks. Do you put all your money in one stock? Well, maybe if you're a Democrat because you're stupid. And of course, I mean, the Republicans are doing the same thing. If the Republicans make abortion illegal, they're going to do it through the Supreme Court. And of course, they want to keep abortion there for the same reason. The Democrats know that by keeping the question of abortion at a federal level and resting on the Supreme Court, they can force all 50 states to go the way on abortion they want them to go. Of course, the converse problem of this is that if the Republicans do get control of the Senate, I am so confused. If the Republicans do get control of the Supreme Court, overturn Roe versus Wade, make abortion illegal, well, then they are able to force all 50 states to go the way they want them to go. And neither side is smart enough to figure out that just like your stock portfolio, you should diversify. Diversify, diversify. But see, the reason, of course, is because none of this is about freedom. None of this is about democracy. What's a democracy? We do it the people. Well, if we do what the people want, why don't we let the people decide on a state-by-state basis? We're not going to do that because what this is really about for both the Republicans and the Democrats is forcing the decision they want you to make on you and utilizing federal power to force that decision on you. This is one of those things that as I have stated over and over again till I am fucking blue in the face, and I'm going to say it again, I am not in favor of making abortion illegal. Because regardless of what my belief on abortion is, if you make something illegal, people aren't going to stop doing it. Witness anything that's illegal. Speeding, murder, rape, child molesting, drugs, shoplifting. All of these things are illegal. Nobody is stopped from doing any of them. I almost wish Roe versus Wade would be overturned and abortion made illegal just so I could see the fucking liberals and the feminazis get pissed off. I almost wish it would happen just out of pure hatred for how fucking stupid you people are. If you'd have kept this on a state-by-state level, if you'd have forced this to us, and let us not forget, Congress can remove the ability to make abortion rulings from the power of the Supreme Court. I'm trying to think if I could find that in the Constitution right now far enough, because I know some of you don't believe me, because people think, see, here's the impression people have, is the Supreme Court can rule on anything. It can't. Congress can, for example, say, we are going to remove what's the word I'm looking for here, Randy? We are going to remove any law in the realm of abortion from things the Supreme Court can make rulings on. That's not a good wording, but I think that explains it. The Congress has the power to do that, but they're not going to do that because the Republicans want to make sure that power stays in the Supreme Court so they can force you to think abortion is murder. And the Democrats want to make damn sure that power stays in the Supreme Court so that they can force you to think abortion is not murder. And yeah, you, the people, are caught up in the middle of this, but that's because, you know what? Hey, anytime you want to fucking read the Constitution, and anytime you want to start holding the government to upholding the Constitution, you can do that. All you gotta do is turn off the fucking television, pull your head out of your ass, stop watching white trash people on Fear Factor degrading themselves for money by eating insects, and fucking, yeah, I'm not talking about marching and taking back the night, and I'm not talking about standing on the corner with a fucking placard. I'm talking about real fucking change. It's only going to come when you white trash jackasses out there pull your heads out of your asses. Way to drop that. What's next? What's this guy's name? Not William. Warren. Warren goes on a little bit later to say, the Republican Party for the last 25 years has opposed reproductive freedom, and the Republican Party philosophy and policy is that women are for pleasure and having babies. They should have as many as possible, and that they have no business competing with men for jobs, money, and power, and they should be... This guy's got a run-on sentence like a motherfucker. You can tell he's illiterate. And they should be home barefoot pregnant in the kitchen making cookies and having babies. That's what they're for. I'm not sure that is officially part of the Republican platform. But it's an interesting perspective. Yeah. Rocky Mountain Bullhorn asked the question, if Roe is overturned, what will happen then? And what's this? Warren responds, well, I guess we don't know, do we? Now, there's something you don't hear every day. A fucking stupid liberal actually admitting he doesn't know something. But I think it's certain this will mean this will become a political struggle in each state, even more than it is now, and there will be 50 different state policies on abortion. Yes, there might be, and with the thing that you're too stupid to figure out is that is a good thing. Isn't it? Wait, aren't Democrats the people who talk about how goddamn wonderful diversity is? Wow, 50 different laws regarding abortion. Wouldn't that be diversity? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that mean that pretty much regardless of what happened, there's always going to be a state, some place where abortion is going to be legal? Wouldn't a normal, intelligent, rational person look at that and think, hey, this is a good thing? They would, but of course there are no people who are Democrats who are normal and rational, because you can't be rational and be a liberal at the same time. This is interesting. David Morris. Mr. David Morris is writing in this piece, when it comes to human female orgasm, what we're talking about here is intelligent design versus evolution. This argument is, of course, pretty hot and heavy right now. I got some things to say about this too, but it's not going to happen today. Morris writes, when it comes to the human female orgasm, however, evolutionists are stumped. No other female in the animal kingdom experiences orgasm. I have a question. How do they know that female animals don't have orgasms? I'm getting some pictures. We're not even going to... Then there's the question of male homosexuality. From a Darwinian perspective, it's a puzzle. The theory of natural selection should guarantee the disappearance of males who don't reproduce, but they keep hanging around in considerable numbers in every culture and every era. Unfortunately, since David Morris is an uneducated idiot, he's never read a book. And the book that, if he had read it, would answer his question is... Oh God, what the hell's the name of the book? This is bad. Randy, quick. The Atom book by David Sykes. David Sykes? What? This is sad. I can't remember the name of the book. It's written by the same man who wrote The Seven Daughters of Eve. It is something Adam. Adam's Curse. There you go. Thank you. Excellent. You are the bomb, Randy. Adam's Curse by David Sykes. I'm not going to go into the explanation now because we're moving on. But if you read that book, it will explain to you a perfectly logical explanation for male homosexuality that makes sense evolutionary-wise. It makes sense biologically. It makes perfect sense all the fucking way around. So... maybe, again, we're right back to something I've already said. If the reporters at the Bullhorn spent a little more time doing research and educating themselves, and a little less time playing with dolls, maybe they wouldn't be so fucking stupid, and maybe they wouldn't embarrass themselves. What is this? Capitalist Addiction. Oh, this is funny. This is written by somebody named Emily Yin. This is also from the Bullhorn, of course. as we're on the bullhorn phase of this. Later on we'll be moving along. This is just plain fucking funny. Emily writes, coffee has penetrated into every stratum of society. Unfortunately, Starbucks isn't ready to accommodate people from all walks of life, because not every class can pay for the privilege at this rate. Excuse me. It adds exotic roasted caffeine beans and custom-ordered coffee drinks to their selections, a little more like a four-star gourmet restaurant and a little less like a local kiddie hippie coffee shop. With this adult appeal, Starbucks is marketed as a sort of richer, more personal cafe with delicacies filled with nuts, dried fruits, or bits of jam. What the company sells is a $12 pound of specialty beans that are wholesaled for about $2 a pound. A small $1.94 Danish with a $4 latte, and there goes my lunch buffet. Buffet? There goes my lunch buffet. What does that have to do with a lunch buffet? I think what she means is there goes her lunch money. Deprived of time, I, the frugal spender of the working class, have simply stuck with Maxwell House and Folgers, attending donut shops or gas stations for my daily shots. Poor Emily! How dare Starbucks actually price their things out of her fucking... Now, how is this for hatred of people who have more than you do? This entire thing is based on, oh my god, some people are both stupid enough and capable of affording a $4 cup of coffee. And I, Emily, am so jealous. Why, I hate Starbucks. You know what? If you're stupid enough to go to Starbucks and pay $4 for a cup of coffee when you could brew the shit at home for like 3 cents a cup, then you deserve to pay $4 for a fucking cup of coffee, and Starbucks deserves to get your $4. Because remember, stupid people were put on earth for smart people to take advantage of. And stupid people get money so that smart people can take it away from them. Stupid people are here because if everybody was smart, when George Bush said, I want you to go to the desert and kill other people, all the smart people would go, fuck you. That's why we have stupid people, because stupid people will go to the desert and kill other people for George Bush. If it wasn't for you stupid people, the powers that be would not be able to kill other people in deserts and make drugs illegal and put black men in prison because they had a joint. And all the other nasty little evil things the government does. It's you stupid people who pay $4 for a cup of coffee, and it's you stupid people who have hatred for people who pay $4 for a cup of coffee that keep the government in power and keep on allowing us, and all of you people keep paying your taxes. That's the taxes that George Bush is using to kill the people over in Iraq. I notice that as much as you're against the war, I notice all of you keep paying your fucking taxes, don't you? Let's move on. What is this? This is whining. Let's see, what's this? This is whining. What do we got here? Oh, look! More whining. There's a lot of whining. How are we on time? Wow! We're at 43 already. That's impressive. We're going to be done here soon. Don't judge. Nicole Salamander is writing a piece here. Are you aware of how fine the line between being housed and being homeless is for many of a Fort Collins employed population? Actually, I am. I'm one of them. I work for the government. I don't make shit. Based on the recent articles in our community's daily and weekly news publications, Fort Collins seems to have a distinctly skewed view of what homelessness is. These stereotypes of an older male affected by alcoholism and erratic hygiene habits represents a small percentage of people experiencing homelessness. Maybe so. She doesn't have any statistics, of course, because even if she did, she couldn't back them up. Now, here we go. Did you know that in a 2004 Poudre School District Did you know that in 2004 Poudre School District documented over 600 homeless children? That same year, a local homeless shelter served 50 families, some living at the facility for many months. Now, don't make any fucking mistake about what's happening right here, okay? I am calling Nicole Salamander a fucking liar. 600 homeless children, my fucking ass. I don't want to look at what we're talking. I want to look at what she's leaving out. How exactly does the Pooter School District define a homeless child? Now, I live in Fort Collins. Fort Collins is not that fucking big. If there were 600 homeless children in this town, I'm pretty sure I would have noticed one of them, at least one of them by this point. The fact that she is spewing this shit on a piece of paper, and the fact that some fucking editor allowed this to be published without asking for a source, without asking for references, without asking for documentation to back this up, without even asking what the fuck is the definition of homelessness that's being used here, illustrates how stupid these people are, how pathetic these people are, how low journalism, if that's what you want to call it, has sunk in this country. There are not 600 homeless children in Fort Collins. I am calling Nicole Salamander a liar. I want to see some fucking evidence on this one. She continues, for 3 years I have worked with people in our community who are homeless, and I can count on one hand how many have chosen their situation. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? So what? However, this is further down the column. However, until the general population is willing to recognize that there are people living in poverty right here next door, there's people in poverty right here in my fucking house. I know, I am the one. All right. However, until the general population is willing to recognize that there are people living in poverty right here next door, on the street, in their car, in the shelters, by the river, or whatever they can lay their or wherever they can lay their head, lack of awareness will continue to interrupt the possibility for solutions. First of all, if you're in a shelter, you're not homeless. See, this is one of the big problems we have here is what the fuck is the definition of homeless? If you're living with somebody else, and see, this is the thing, I know for a fact the government, people like Nicole, consider people in a shelter to be homeless. If you're in the shelter, you're not homeless. I know that these people, if, for example, I got thrown out of my apartment and was living with a friend, I would be considered homeless. But I'm not homeless. I'm living with somebody else. Children, according to them, 20-year-old kids who live with their parents are homeless because they don't have their own home. This is how they get these inflated statistics. So first of all, your statistics are bogus and inflated. Second of all, it says the lack of awareness will continue to interrupt the possibility for solutions. All right. Stand by as I go into broken record mode. If every motherfucker who claimed to care about homeless people took a homeless person home with them, there would be no homeless people. This has nothing to do with our public's general perception. This would not be a slightest bit influenced by how racist, sexist, or homophobic I am. This would have nothing to do with me calling you names like stupid bitch. This would have nothing to do with how the world is controlled by white people. This would have nothing to do with how all men are rapists. This would have nothing to do with how libertarians are evil because they don't think we should spend $44,000 of government money so that people can write poetry about lesbian sheep. It has nothing to do with any of that. This is completely off in its own little fucking world. If every goddamn filthy little tree-hugging, non-shaving, non-bathing, don't know what a toothbrush is, tree-hugging fucking hippie who claims they care so much about homeless people took a fucking homeless person to their home with them, gave the person a bath, bought them some good clothes, helped them get a job, worked with them to save money, to get integrated into society, to make something of their lives, there would be no fucking homeless people. I've said it and said it and said it till I'm blue in my goddamn face. These people don't give up. Like Nicole, don't give a flying fuck about homeless people. If they did, there wouldn't be any. And for those of you out there who are saying, well, Skippy, obviously you don't give a fuck about homeless people. You don't have a homeless person in your home. I'm not saying you're wrong about that. If I was passionately cared about homeless people like Nicole does, there'd be a homeless person in my home. See, this is the difference between me and her. I'm not lying to you. I have the fucking nuts to tell you the truth. It's true. It's absolutely fucking true. If I was passionately concerned about the plight of homeless people, if I knew somebody who was homeless and I cared about that person enough, they'd be here in my house. They're not, and that tells you I don't, and I'm not denying that. Because I don't have to lie to you like these other sacks of shit who want power and want your money and are trying to manipulate you by feeding you bullshit. How are we on time? Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Which of these is shorter? Battling Big Cola. This is an article about how the cola companies, Coke, Pepsi, are trying to get into public schools and indoctrinate the children with their belief that, this is what kills me, Coke and Pepsi, it's like, okay, this carbonated sugar water or that carbonated sugar water. This is one of those things where I tend to agree with the tree-hugging wacko liberals. Let me read the things I've got. Oh, we are... Yeah, we're, seconds away? Alright, we'll get into that in the next edition. I'll put that on top. What else is coming up? What is this? Academic freedom. We're talking about some academic... Oh! This is the original sin. Here we have... This is... Oh, God! This will be at the beginning of the next one. Here we have liberals. Remember, atheist liberals, one of the tenets of Christianity is original sin. You can't help being a sinner because you're born with the sin. I always love that about Christianity. Where you're going to go to hell if you're sin. Well, but we're born with original sin, right? Yeah, so we're going to go to hell because we're born with sin because God fucking made us defective. I mean, if you're God and somebody's born with original sin, doesn't that mean you fucked up your job as a creator? But this is where liberals are saying that all white people are born with original sin because they're white. Oh, this is great. This is going to be beautiful. Academic freedom, my ass. As I just said, it amazes me how similar the left and the right is in their belief systems and how they're so stupid that they can't figure out that they're really the same goddamn people. Alright, we're out of here. It's Sunday. We got things to do. We'll be back. I don't know, Randy, what are you doing tomorrow? We might do another edition or two. I got logic homework to do. I don't know if I'll get to that today. Oh yeah, yoga class. Alright, anyway, we will discuss original sin, both the Christian version of original sin and the atheist version of original sin. Also be discussing carbonated sugar water in public schools and why this would be an issue if we didn't have public schools. Have fun. We'll see you then.